And we're alive. All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another Midweek with Max. This is Rick, joined by JCV, Jeremy Nation, Joshua, Marco, and of course our co-founder Max Sanchez. I I don't have much else. Let's kick it over to Max for weekly updates.
All right, sounds good. Let's see, weekly updates. I've been working on testing a hardening release for opgeth. So we're testing that internally right now, and we'll be shipping that out to anyone running nodes as a recommended upgrade. No time constraint, but we recommend people update to it once we get it out, probably end of this week. I've also been making progress on the opgeth to opreth transition, so doing some more testing there. We have a version of that uses both TBC and Oxygen. You can choose which Bitcoin indexer to use. And so doing some testing on that interface and that ability to switch between the two, or use, not like translate the databases between the two, but choose which one you want to use for different node setups. As a side note, the TBC version will be the officially supported version. When we first launch opreth as a release, people can use Oxygen will be in beta or experimental, and then over time we'll transition to Oxygen as a equal peer and then switch over fully to Oxygen as the required indexer to enable some of the ZK features we're working on. Also making progress on MinerFi, doing some more testing and internal audits and code review on some of the MinerFi things, especially the new ZK circuits that we are adding to the threshold signature scheme keygen and key resharing. And I think that is pretty much it. We also have some internal progress on, I'm not sure how much quite I can talk about this. Hopefully in the next week or two, this will be a little more public. But on that Hemi DEX perps experience that we were talking about, maybe with some derivatives as well. And so that's moving along. Hopefully we'll have more to share on that soon. And I think that is pretty much everything. So with that, we can get into questions. Oh, and we don't have, for two recurring items, there's no updates for VBK at the moment. As soon as we have them, we'll share them. Apologize for the delay, but it is still coming. And the Plutos report, we are wrapping that up, so we should have that out shortly. So look for that, hopefully in the next few days here.
All right. Let's go to Jeremy for marketing updates.
Yeah, we don't have a whole lot of crazy stuff in the coffers right now. We got some boys in the back room working on some announcements, though. Stay tuned and keep your eyes peeled for an announcement today from Bybit. I can't tell you what it is. That's part of the fun. And then also, we're working on figuring out when we're going to be doing our next engineering AMA and happy hour. So stay tuned for those dates soon. I'll be able to post that as soon as we figure it out. And back to you guys.
All right, those were the quickest updates ever. Well, let's let's keep the party rolling. Into questions. Lutatio asks, when will Pop Points tokens be converted to Hemi tokens?
That'll happen as soon as we do the pop payouts upgrade, which we've been meaning to get out. We are going to get that out in the near future. So coming very soon. Apologize for the delay.
All right. Oh, okay, sorry. Joshua was like live typing a question, and it was very confusing at first. It originally said when Mintora no. I was like, what? But it says when Mintora now, because I believe today is the day that Mintora is live. If you are not sure what that is, it was created by community member Alpha, and it is an NFT platform on the Hemi network, which has been in demand for well over a year, and now it exists. So, Mintora, check it out. Congrats to the team behind it.
Cool.
Really exciting. Anything anyone wants to add?
Do we have a link to share for Mentora?
And do we have a demo? I wouldn't mind a demo.
I got Mentora.app. Alpha, if Alpha wants to hop on and do a demo.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah. Alpha, would you like to hop on and do a demo? Hey, wait, that even possible on StreamYard?
That's kind of great how we're like, hey, do you want to do a demo before we, and then we think, wait, does that work?
Yeah, really.
I see a screen share option, so I'm just assuming it kind of works, but I don't know. We have not tested this.
I was going to say, have any of us touched that button? Because I have not.
No.
I also have not.
Maybe
I'm
dry run.
I'm going to. I'll message Alpha on Discord and get that sorted out. But we can probably continue with questions until then.
Okay. Because he did ask, how do I join? And said, sure, he'd give a demo. So, all right, we're doing a Mentora demo. But while that's being sorted out, and God willing it works, because we all realize this is not Discord, and it's not as easy as just, turning it on. Let's get into this really long question from Alex. I want to create a service to blockchainize memories on Bitcoin memories, to anchor something on Bitcoin, such as your children's names and birthdays for eternity on the chain, or for example, a picture of like Satoshi did with the Times article. IPFS exists on EVM chains, but how could I do this on Bitcoin and take advantage of Hemi's super finality?
So a couple different ways. If you want to do it directly on Bitcoin, if it's a small amount of data, you can put it in an op return. So with op returns, you can put up to 80 bytes in a transaction. That's actually what Hemi uses for our publications. Is we put the abbreviated keystone data in an op return. So for very small pieces of data or references to the actual data, like a hash of a file or an IPFS link or something like that, you could put that directly in a Bitcoin op return. For bigger data that generally wasn't historically possible, there's an asterisk there. You could always technically do it because you could create like arbitrary fake addresses that encoded parts of the data you wanted to put on chain, but that was complicated and expensive to do. But now with the way that post TapScript, Taproot upgrade, basically they unintentionally created a way to post much larger amounts of data on Bitcoin through when you reveal the TapScript that you're actually spending for a transaction. There's the normal script limits that would apply to regular transactions don't apply to those revealed TapScript scripts that you can reveal as part of your transaction. And that's exactly what things like Ordinal used in order to embed much larger pieces of data directly on Bitcoin. So that's an angle. It's going to be expensive for, depending on the size of what you're publishing. You are still paying for Bitcoin block space, and so it is still going to be pricey. If you wanted to go a Bitcoin anchored or Bitcoin secured route using Hemi, you could basically do anything that you can do on any other EVM chain. So you could write the data, directly on chain in a contract, or to contract storage. You could also post an IPFS link or some other reference hash of file, something like that, to Hemi directly, and then that would get timestamped to Bitcoin through proof of proof. And so you'd have basically an audit trail of the actual publication, its presence in a Hemi block, or if you're doing something that writes to a contract, that's a little easier because then you have contract storage. You can authenticate at any Hemi block up to a Hemi block header, or Hemi block header, the state root in the block header, which then you could correlate with a POP transaction and then construct a Merkle tree proving that to Bitcoin. So you'd have basically two connecting Merkle trees that go through the Hemi to Bitcoin boundary. And that would let you publish anything to Hemi, just like you could publish it to Ethereum or Base or insert EVM chain here. And then because of proof of proof, that's going to be essentially time-stamped up to Bitcoin. It won't be direct in the sense that your data will not appear directly on Bitcoin, because what Hemi publishes to Bitcoin is just these abbreviated keystones, which are sort of like a fingerprint of the current state of the Hemi network. But from that, you can cryptographically authenticate anything about Hemi to that fingerprint. So you have this sort of two-tier model of data published to Hemi, prove that it's in a Hemi state root, and then prove that Hemi state root is published to Bitcoin with a Bitcoin Merkle tree up to a Bitcoin block. So it's a trade-off between speed, usability, how easy it is to program it, and how much it costs. So anything directly on Bitcoin is going to be harder to do and cost more, but it is directly on Bitcoin, and there's some benefit to that. It's easier to verify because you just have one single proof in Bitcoin. You don't have this multi-hop Merkle Patricia tree root of Hemi state to a Hemi state root, and then that to Bitcoin. It also is direct on Bitcoin, which is cool for some applications. If you wanted to, there's a reason they did ordinals on Bitcoin. It's because it was just cool to be directly on Bitcoin with that data. So it depends what you're trying to build, but those are two different ways to do it. Either put it on Hemi, then construct that Merkle Patricia tree proof to a Hemi state root, and then proof of the publication of a keystone at or after that state root on Hemi up to a Bitcoin block. Or if it's a small amount of data, op returns, large amount of data, and you want to directly on Bitcoin, you can do it with TapScript commit reveals.
And Marco, do you remember how we did it for the Decred white paper? Because that was a long time ago, but I remember doing it because I was the one who did the transaction, but as it was more than a decade ago, I don't remember what I did.
I believe we use an op return.
We might. That's very, like I said, it was about a decade ago, but I know.
Yeah. So, and we did, of course, the DCR time thing.
That was
right?
The next thing I was going to bring up because that was before DCR time.
Right. So but the other one, yeah. So what you did was the proof of concept, and then we did DCR time, which actively used the trick, which was definitely op return, but it stored also some Merkle data in there, so that you could verify whatever had been committed to a tree was indeed valid. So you could timestamp millions of documents, or essentially infinite documents, without ever using more than 32 bytes of hashing data on chain. Was that what you're getting at?
Yeah. So definitely also check out DCR time. It was a cool sort of
it is still there
of this. Yeah, it's still there. And if you're planning on doing something with trying to save data in Bitcoin, DCR time's worth at least researching a little.
Right. And it could actually be easily ported to Bitcoin or to Hemi without a large lift. Because it really, the only touch points outside of itself is whatever chain you pick to write a transaction to. So that would be the only piece of code that needed to be changed.
And just to provide a tiny bit of tech detail there, what Marco and John are talking about is basically Merkleizing a bunch of different data pieces together and then taking the root of that tree and putting that somewhere. So there's a trade-off where if you're fine with off-chain storage, but you want on-chain authentication, a la, proving a document didn't change, proving something existed at a certain point in time, you can use that to basically fit an unlimited amount of data in 32 bytes or whatever the size of the hash is that you're using, and you can stick that on Bitcoin, on Hemi, wherever you want it. But you do still need an off-chain storage of the underlying data if you want to be able to retrieve it and prove it later on. So people have been doing things like that for a long time, a la 10 years ago with Decred. But that's another method if you don't need that direct on-chain at some level, whether it's on Hemi or on Bitcoin, direct readability, and you're okay with people needing to either store Merkle proofs of their file or whatever they're attesting to or whatever they're time stamping. But you do need that offline component. If you lose the file, you can't recover it, obviously, from on-chain. You can only prove it if you did have the original file and either the Merkle root or the entire Merkle tree to reconstruct that proof.
Right. There's actually a neat, subtle use case hiding in here, though. So if you do not want to disclose the data, you don't have to, right? You can store the Merkle root of the documents that you want to at some point in the future disclose. So it's kind of like a pay to script hash for all intents and purposes. You have to reveal the document to actually prove its authenticity. So anyway, just a use case that is often overlooked, that is a useful use of this type of technology.
And Bitcoin, either directly or indirectly, is the best place to timestamp stuff. So there's no, forging old historical states going back years with compromised staking keys or anything like that. It is proof of work is proof of work. And unless someone 51% attacks Bitcoin, your data that you anchored, whether it's directly on Bitcoin or authenticated with a hash or buried in a Merkle tree, is basically immovable. So if you want to do any of those designs, Bitcoin is the place to do it. Again, whether that's directly on Bitcoin with op return or ordinals, or something that eventually publishes and authenticates to Bitcoin and gives you another data layer, programmability layer to play around with, a la something like Hemi.
All right. Seeing another question from Alex. Will Hemi do anything for the World Cup?
Not that I'm aware of.
All right.
I don't even know when the World Cup is. If that
It's happening now.
It's been going on for like a week.
Scottish people have taken over Boston and Providence. I've never seen anything like it.
I have not been
There's
watching the
something
news
like-
apparently.
There's 50,000 Scottish people in
It's
Boston
soccer,
and
y'all. Who
Providence.
cares?
They
It's un-American football.
the keys to the city. But
I live
is
in LA,
crazy from what I've
so
seen.
there's been a lot of traffic because of the World Cup in Los Angeles. The building I live in, it's you're allowed to use your apartment as an Airbnb. So I think friends that live in this building are like shacking up together and then like renting their apartment out to a lot of people that are coming up right out of town. So I really like that actually, because I think it's fun to meet a lot of strangers from different places. And the World Cup draws a lot of people in from all over the world. So, you know, it's cool. It's cool to see a lot of people come to Los Angeles, and it's nice.
I just want to point out that it's un-American football.
It's true. But it's also cool to see a lot of people come to LA. So.
All right. While Alpha is getting set up to discuss Mentora, here is one more question. What excites you the most about, oh, hell, here comes a Marco question. What excites you the most about Bitcoin ordinal support on Hemi?
Take it away, Marco.
So several things. So I want to use Bitcoin for data storage. While going through Hemi and having Hemi be really the layer that sits on top of it. So, and ordinals is kind of perfect for that. So that's the reason why I've been farting with this. One of the things that I wanted to do is classical tracking of things, but in a fancier way, using ordinals versus the op return storage deal. So a buddy of mine runs a shop and I will disclose that at some point, but he's still working on this thing, so I won't tell you exactly what it is. But he has a real bricks and mortar shop where he sells stuff for cryptocurrency, and he is now trying to build some tracking and futures and things that you would expect from a network like Hemi. So you can play all the DeFi games, but being Bitcoin first, you need to have data storage on Bitcoin while having the DeFi component sitting on Hemi. So that's the goal that I'm trying to achieve with this version 1.0. Turns out that ordinals was a much heavier lift than I expected. I actually thought that they were pretty relatively underused or not used at all, and I was completely wrong. So I basically brought a knife to a tank battle, and I got my ass handed to me. But I am actually staring at the indexer right this second because my name was brought up, and it is at block height 953,388 after a week of basically grinding that machine to death somewhere in the cloud. I'm sure I'm going to get a conversation by those people at some point. Well, what the heck are you doing there? And it looks like, let me give you that number too while I'm at it. It is a 583 gigabyte size database, and we are near, and that's near the tip. So it's bigger than the transactions database, which is mind-boggling to me. But here we are.
There's a lot of ordinals, and a lot of ordinals have a lot of data.
Right, and actually, what happens quite a bit as well, and I did not expect that at all, is that ordinals are being split. So the SAT ranges are being split, and then half an ordinal is sold, and it's all kinds of weird stuff going on in there. So it's quite a puzzle. And again, I had no idea. I just thought that they were, that some people used it for some things, but there's an entire world hiding in there that I have not quite figured out yet.
So you got an ordinal that's like, say, a range of 50 Satoshis, and someone takes 25 of those and sells it to another address, and now you've got fractional or ordinal ownership. Is that what you're telling me?
That is indeed what's happening. And some of that ends up in fees or ends up back on a Coinbase address. It is a spectacular amount of complexity.
Now, a lot of that is unintentional. Is there like a way to reconcile it? Like, I want my ordinals not to get split up.
Well, runes is the answer to that. But ordinals were designed this way to be ranges. And as soon as it's a range that's calculated, which it is, these games can and will be played. So this was all covered in ordinal theory. I just personally did not expect it to be so wildly used, is kind of what my point was. So all the surprising things that we do see are expected. What's odd is just the sheer volume of it. So I think there's an entire underbelly of stuff happening in ordinals that I'm actually kind of interested in, and if somebody has an answer as to why there's so much ordinal stuff happening, I'd love to hear it.
We also did have a community member who's been joining some of the engineering AMAs who's building some like dashboards and visibility for the Hemi network. So this is just a random idea, but with the ordinals indexer, there might be some cool like ordinals, what's happening on ordinals kind of introspection that you could do with that, not directly with, querying all the ordinals through a Hemi RPC, but using that indexer sort of separately as a source of truth for some interesting ordinals insights.
Yeah, this
people have ordinals indexers. It's not a novel idea, but I think your indexer lends itself well to that sort of a use case as well.
Yep, yeah, it does. It's so the only thing it doesn't do, and I will look at this a little bit, but not after this is done. After this is done, I want to actually start moving up the chain to get to the to expose some of this functionality. But the only thing this indexer doesn't do is actually indexing all the SAT ranges. Because for that, you basically need every single UTXO ever created and where they land. So you got to follow every output and input forever and ever and ever, and that's terabytes worth of data. So, and I have not cracked a way of making that smaller or dividing it somehow. I looked at the other indexer that exists out there, the Hero indexer, and they do also not have this support. And in fact, I think that we have a little bit fancier lookups than they do. Pretty much all our ordinal indexer lookups are O1. So that means that they can be used inside an HVM, which the Hero indexer could not because it's a little too slow.
And speaking of that, I know we've mentioned it in previous weeks, but the way this will percolate up, we're still deciding on the final HVM precompiles to wrap this ordinals indexer in. But the way that this is going to be enabled on the Hemi network for people to develop around is we're going to be adding new precompiles that let you query for specific information about ordinals, what data's in them, stuff like that, as precompiles, and then you can use those in your smart contract. So we'll go from HVM phase 0 to phase 1, and that'll include these new ordinals related precompiles.
Right, and then I'm actually now flirting a little bit with Max, I guess, or Max's favorite topic is so if this can also be combined, of course, with ZK, and that opens a whole new ball of cool features that you can build with it. But again, Max, don't go completely off on ZK.
I will add one cool thing with ZK. You mentioned how much it's basically impractical to require people as part of the full node to run an indexer that has potentially terabytes of data that's able to track like the exact provenance of each Satoshi across the network. The cool thing with ZK is you can compute that stuff. Mark already knows this. This is just for general interest, but you can always trace that lineage back to Genesis. And so we already have the data you need to do that in the indexer. We can't reveal that directly as a precompile because it's too slow, and not just slow, but unbounded slow, which means somebody could create like very specific malicious transactions that have to walk, 100,000 UTXOs or something, and then call that. And that's basically denial of service vulnerability. So, but with ZK, all the data is there. So if somebody wanted to do that expensive computation offline, they could then bring the ZK proof of that online, verify that against, basically proving that it only did a query over state that is part of the known state tree of Bitcoin that we have in the Oxygen indexer, which is going to be also updated with this ordinal stuff. And that would let you still use those. It wouldn't be the same like nice HVM experience you have where your contract just lazily calls a precompile and gets all the data at once. But if you do need that sort of granularity for, exact Satoshi provenance since Genesis, you could still achieve that with ZK proofs against the rest of the Bitcoin data structures we're building. So there's some cool stuff there that's kind of not quite HVM, or it uses the state structures for HVM, but layers a little bit of in EVM ZK stuff on top of it. But that could unlock some more advanced queries that we just can't expose as precompiles for performance reasons. You could still have those computed offline and then ZK prove them against the rest of the state root that is, or the rest of the state that is maintained and authenticated by that index or state root as part of HVM. So there's some neat stuff there to explore as well.
Yep. I'm actually kind of excited about this. And again, if we can get some data on Bitcoin, and we can prove the entire fact, then I think we can start messing around with some other, primitives in there. We can start playing maybe directly with transactions, right? And in digging a little bit into what Taproot would offer us. So there's things hiding there. Anyway, I'm babbling. I'll stop talking.
And there's also, I know I mentioned this in previous weeks, but this always, I like this idea. I'm not sure quite where to plug it in, but I hope somebody builds this and maybe it will build as like a Skunkworks project or something. But so Hemi, we already have, you can tunnel Bitcoin from the Bitcoin network to Hemi through to Ethereum. You can bring Ethereum assets from Ethereum to Hemi, and this sort of unlocks the final leg of that. If you could actually take Ethereum assets through Hemi or Hemi native assets too, and you could tokenize them on Bitcoin, and you could have an asset on Bitcoin that you can move around that represents, basically acts as a, in air quotes, a bearer bond for those EVM assets that could be traded freely on Bitcoin and then eventually redeemed back into the system. And that's actually once you have the HVM precompiles that expose all this data, building that protocol is probably the easiest of the 4 different routes of assets through the Hemi ecosystem that are possible, because that one's literally just a contract that says, hold these assets until somebody goes and does some action with this Satoshi over here, or this, ordinals NFT over here. And so there's again, it's probably less interesting than a lot of the other, moving Bitcoin through Hemi to the Ethereum network. But I do think there are still some cool niche use cases for that, of being able to take EVM assets from the Ethereum ecosystem and bring them all the way onto Bitcoin in a way where you can trade them permissionlessly on the Bitcoin network. And obviously there's, wallet support, UI, UX, how users actually understand where those assets are and how to transfer them. And, that's a whole other, usability angle to tackle, but the actual underlying tech behind that would be actually relatively simple to build given the HVM precompiles for ordinals indexing. Sorry, I cannot talk today. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I'm having a severe lack of coffee as well.
It is totally fine because Alpha is ready and Bo to be on stage. So let's get into some Mintura. Welcome, Alpha. We're gonna turn things over to you if you'd like to do a little demo on Mintura. I believe Jeremy has some questions. I'm sure Max can pop in with some as well. Just don't get him started on ZK provability because it'll happen.
I think we're safe. It's an NFT marketplace. We should be good.
Oh, well, I've heard you align ZK with other things. So. All right, Alpha.
Yeah.
Floor is yours. Take it away.
Good to see you, everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm the sole founder of Mintura and the single developer of Mintura. So Mintura is a NFT marketplace built on Hemi using Hemi's technology. And yeah, that's it. I think that's the short introduction for me. And just a thing, my Hemi's community might recognize me. So I'm just a Hemigo, those who don't know me again. Yeah, that's it. So if you have any questions, then ask me.
Alpha, first of all, I just want to say it's an absolute thrill to have you on stage with us, and what you've built with Mentura is quite impressive. When I think about NFTs, the first thing that I think comes to mind is ZK. No, I'm just joking. That was a joke. When I look at this, I wonder, how long did you spend building this and developing it before you were ready to have something that you were able to present to the community?
Yeah, so I saw this recommend that people were asking for NFT marketplace. So I saw some big potential on Hemi's ecosystem. So I actually decided to build the marketplace really early. It was around 2025 December. It's right now June, so you can calculate how many months. So I actually made the NFT within like 3 months or so, but there were some security checkings from Hemi team and everyone. They were very professional and strict. So we had like over a month for security testings with lot of AIs and everything. So that took a lot of time. So if you calculate all of those, then that would be like around 4 or 5 months, I think.
Now, looking at this, you can see when you go to the site, there are some legacy Hemi NFTs that were launched throughout the network's history. When is it that you plan to integrate support for individuals to launch their own NFTs on Hemi?
Actually, that's gonna be really soon. So currently we just have some buy, sell, and everything. The launch pool, which will people, normal publics can launch their own token or NFTs there. And also just a leak, I don't know, people could, there will be some interaction with runes soon. And that's the alpha thing. Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Uh,
Do you want to
yeah.
show us? I mean, do you want to do a little presentation of it? Did we get that to work?
Yeah, for sure. Let me just hold on a second.
Let's check it out here, guys.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yep. That looks so good.
This is it. So if you come to this page, so this is a little animation. This will show some details about Mintura. So we will have some short trailer here, not trailer, just a tutorial here. So currently it's playing the trailer. We'll soon add that. And if you just scroll below, there will some advantage of Mintoras here. You can read those. You can come to this page and read all of those if you want. So let's not waste that. Let's launch the site, and as you can see, this is the home page and the main page of this here. I really like it. I don't know you guys would or not. So
I think it looks great. And you've integrated support, I think, for the Hemi community meme token as well, if I can glean correctly here, right?
Yeah, I can give you some alphas there. Actually, we are bringing NFT interaction with AR games, so that will be soon also.
That's pretty cool.
And if you see on the navigation bar, then you will see this icon to move to light mode. I don't know how many of you like light mode or not, but I prefer dark mode.
I like that it was dark mode first.
I like light mode. I'll give you some kudos on this. Thank you for light mode. Some of us live in the light.
Also, there is a search bar here. You can search anything. You can search some usernames around. I already took this alpha username, so yeah, you can search anyone's. For example, I can search Alex. He was a great help to test this site, and we are testing everything here. As you can see, he holds this stuff. Yeah. So let's move on to how we can list and sell NFTs here.
Yeah.
So for example, I have this NFT. So if I just click on her, it's already listed. So let me just cancel this. And then streaming. So it's actually not slow. It's showing loading it because we are detecting the transaction is complete or not. Yeah, so as you can see, it's complete and unlisted. Now let me list this again. So I can put any amount of ETH here, just the price of this NFT. So if I just click on list, this should be listing. Just hold on a second. I'm giving the approval. Yeah, it should be listing. Yeah, there you go. It's listed. Yes. So if
That
I go
smooth.
again to the home page, I will see some latest listings there. And about this top NFTs and this animation thing and the banner. So we'll have something called premier subscription for the NFT projects or collections. They can showcase their NFTs there, and there will be some monthly fees or something. We need to discuss with them the fees amount, and they could highlight their projects there with this banner. And yes,
Well, there you have it. There's a fully functioning NFT marketplace now live on Hemi, and you can visit Mintura.app.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off.
No,
By
it's
the way, I just forgot this. So I would recommend everyone go to these settings and claim your username first, or you have to put zeros on everything to do that. Yeah, we can also, let me do something here. Let's put I don't know, this one. Yeah, as you can see, I added this. So if I click on save, it should be saved, and let me do the fancy way. Yeah, as you can see, it's updated.
It's pretty cool. Fully customizable profiles.
Yeah,
That is so super
fully
sick.
customized.
And honestly, it looks really, really cool. Like, and it seems like simple to use, and I'm just genuinely happy. That not only did you take the initiative to build it on the Hemi network, but you literally built something that people have been asking for well over a year. Miracle is going to be thrilled. I know that's for sure. Um,
Yeah,
also,
also there are some NFT games are building on Hemi, so if you know, you know.
oh, that's awesome. You got a couple community questions, which is hilarious. They are when Mintora airdrop and when Mintora TGE. These are real questions.
I would simply say ultra soon.
Perfect.
So now you need to say something about ZK.
He's learned well. Oh man.
Oh
Hell
boy.
No, thanks for giving that demo. Super cool. I don't have any questions to ask because we were helping with some review and testing, but super cool to see the initiative.
Yeah, so
and,
our next timeline is to work on our Git book or documentations to list and help the projects to how to list here. And there is some parameters we need to keep in mind. So for example, I'll give you just one thing. So there is hard to list an NFT that is not fixed supplied. So we need to. So that will be costly for us to maintain if we have to, update the supply every time. So we have to discuss there, and I will give you all the documentation, everything soon. Yeah,
Cool.
that's
Sounds
it.
good. And we're also going to be doing some NFT stuff around. We're still trying to figure out what it is, but around the CTF. So I'm sure we could do something with Mentora for that too.
Yeah,
Now, I'm
sure,
curious,
sure. That's a great thing. Yeah.
and
Go on.
this is a good question that actually was brought up by Josh. And maybe you could let us know: are there plans to support purchasing NFTs with Hemi or other tokens like that on the Hemi side?
So yeah, there were some plans about point program here. I don't know when we can bring that, because we already have some works here. We need to implement that. Then we will probably, yeah, maybe not directly a Hemi token. We need to discuss about that. I don't know. Yeah, we can't say no, but it's not a priority right now.
Fair enough.
Right. And I do enjoy that Mentora has dark mode before the Hemi website, as a couple people pointed out. So,
That is true.
all right. Well, thank you so much. Congrats on the launch. We hope all the amigos check it out. It's a really cool site, and it's something folks have been asking for a very long time. So it exists now. So check it out.
Okay,
You know?
just to give you a little insight on the funds section of the thing. So we have decided to put 20%, 25% of the gas fees collected here converted into Hemi. Then we can do something with that. Maybe Hemi staking and everything.
Cool. And yeah, we could probably do some. We'll have to figure out how to Sybil proof it, but we could probably do some, token adoption use incentives in some way. So it's tricky to do those in a way that's, people don't just abuse the system. But if we can figure something out, I'm sure that'd be fun to do.
Yeah. We could discuss about that.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us and showing us the demo. So check out mentora.app.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you.
Really, really cool stuff.
Yeah, see you guys.
Take care, Alpha, and thank you so much again. Max, I was going to ask how will ZK provability affect Mentora? But Alpha,
Probably not much.
Okay, all right. That is the shortest ZK question we have ever had.
Oh wow, that's a record.
I can't believe it.
Oh,
All right,
man.
let's see.
So actually, I will say one more thing though. So that was super awesome, and I would love to see more of these community things happening. I mean, that is what this call should be about. Is that a portion of it is dedicated to, to this kind of stuff. 'Cause this is just way awesome.
Absolutely.
Not our own tiny little bubble that we live in, and just seeing somebody else come up with things that we just didn't think of. It's just great.
Absolutely. And if you're working on something and you want to show it off in Midweek with Max, let us know and we'll get you slotted in.
Yeah. I mean, John's been telling you guys to build cool shit on Hemi for how long? And you're doing it. And I love to see it.
It's been a long time, and yeah, I do love seeing it.
And that brings us to the builder role, which is readily available in Discord. And if you are building something on Hemi or plan to, that's the best way to do it. Get the builder role, and then you can have direct access to the builder's channel, which gives you direct access to not only the Hemi team, but the fellow building community. There's also engineering office hours that take place every
Holy shit, you got it right
Wednesday.
in one try.
Now you fucking jinxed me, man. Come on, I was on a roll. Couldn't you wait?
Actually, he didn't get it right either. It's protocol engineering office hours.
Oh, fuck you, Jeremy. God damn it. All right. Sorry. What I was going to say was you can join us at Protocol Engineering Office Hours, which takes place at 11 a.m. EDT, right on Discord. Unlike Midweek with Max, where we're broadcasting to, important social sites and also LinkedIn. Let's see. Back to questions. So yeah, please join us for Protocol Engineering Office Hours. Thank thank you guys. And also get that builder roll. Um, the final question I'm seeing is, what are you most excited to add to the HVM next?
Ordinals. I'd say other than if this isn't like adding precompiles or adding more features, but we're going to get into ZK a bit. But the ZK version of the Bitcoin indexer that powers HVM, because that lets us do some other really cool things and finally get end-to-end ZK proving of the network enabled, which we're very excited about. So I'd say developer-facing features, definitely ordinals. We are adding a few more non-ordinals related precompiles, probably after ordinals in like phase 2 when we force the movement over to the oxygen indexer, because we do have some additional interesting like chain metadata and stuff like that in there that we can reveal. Things like, fee percentile levels by block, not consumption, but like the makeup of a block with different types of transaction statistics on that. Some other things that may be interesting to use in some more obscure protocols, but we think it'd be cool to add. So we're going to be adding those. I'd say near term, definitely ordinals, and then on the non like smart contract developer focus, but more on the like chain architecture, what we can do for HBit VM and the Ethereum ZK settlement side. Definitely the HVM powered by a ZK capable Bitcoin indexer as well. And look, Rick, I went into ZK and I didn't take the next 20 minutes.
I was literally just going to say that.
I'm growing.
I'm wow. This is a monumentous day. Monumental.
So you see, Max is now ZK proving himself is what's happening. He's a self-learning organism.
It's slow, but it happens.
And the circle of life is complete. Yeah, as Joshua has shared the links for Mentora in YouTube. They have a YouTube channel as well that you can check out. But yeah, definitely check out the app. Definitely give them a follow on X. It's really cool seeing projects like this, come to fruition. And there's a couple more in development. And to the folks creating those, we'd love to have you on and keep asking your questions during protocol engineering office hours. Now I'm going to sound robotic when I say it, so I don't fuck that up again. But yeah, it's just really exciting. And thank you again to Alpha for being on. Let me see. I believe that is actually the end of questions for today. So we are getting out of here a little early, everyone. I do want to remind folks that there is a Rumble session happening on the Hair server following Midweek with Max. Also, Season 3 of Hair Games came to a close. People will get their prizes in the next 10 days or so. And look out in the next couple hours for an announcement for Season 4, which is going to begin today or tomorrow. I believe today, according to Alex. So that's also good. And the guild beta is still going to be going. We are not going to be going public on the 18th, as we have been getting some great feedback from the community, and there are some bugs that need to be worked out before we go totally live with this. And we want to make sure the rollout is like smooth and people can actually do the stuff that is there. And we'd like to add more stuff, but we got to fix the stuff, that's already there. So we may be having an angry call soon. I probably shouldn't have said that, but whatever, it's early. Anyway, I think that brings us to a close for today's Midweek with Max. So let me turn it back to the team for any outros. And I just want to say thanks, amigos, for joining us. We'll see you next week and tomorrow at Protocol Engineering office hours at 11 a.m. EDT. Get that builder role. Creative roles are also readily available. So make memes and cool shit and get some roles in Discord. Now I'm really done talking. I know Marco always says my outros are like 25 fucking minutes long. I tried to make this as brief as possible. So I'm going to shut up for good, turn it over to the team, and I will see you all next week.
You know, I think, Rick, for your outros, instead of you stopping, we should just fade it out slowly.
Or just play like the Oscar music over me. So
Oh, man.
actually, Josh, can we get that? Can we get the Oscars wrap it up song so you guys can just play it when I start doing my outros? I'm
I'm
talking.
gonna take
again.
a wild
I'm
guess
so
that's
sorry.
copyrighted.
It's probably whatever. So is Price is Right, and we use that.
We have some other music if you want.
We are using the music from Price is Almost Right, not from Price is Right. Disclaimer, disclaimer.
There you go.
It's right. We're using the music from The Price is Accurate, which is a lesser known show.
Golden
When you turn on the
Arches.
TV at 3 a.m, it's The Price is Almost Accurate. Great
Yeah.
show.
Right.
Oh, man. All right, cool. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. We will see you next week or tomorrow at the Protocol Engineering office hours. If you're building something and want to chat about what you're building, ask questions, get feedback. A huge shout out to Alpha for joining us and giving us the Mentora demo. Definitely check out mentora.app to play around with his new NFT marketplace. And with that, yeah, stay tuned for some hopefully exciting, interesting announcements about some cool stuff we're working on the deck side in the next couple weeks here. And some other things will be rolling out to beta testers as soon as they're ready, hopefully in the next few weeks. And we will see you all next week.
Take care, everybody.